My name is Potter, and the day I became a hunter, the universe looked at every normal class in existence and apparently decided I deserved a joke. At the Awakening Hall, everyone my age stood in front of a giant crystal and prayed for something useful. Swordsman, mage, assassin, healer, even a decent crafting class could make you rich if you knew the right people. The guy before me touched the crystal and awakened as a lightning spearman. The ceiling exploded. 3 recruiters started fighting over him before the smoke even cleared. Then it was my turn. I put my hand on the crystal. Nothing happened. The examiner coughed. I kept my hand there, still nothing. People in line started laughing. Then the crystal made the sound of a cash register. A golden window appeared in front of my face. Class acquired, Gold Eater. Unique skill acquired, pay to progress. Current exchange rate, 1 gold coin equals 1 experience point. I stared at the screen. The examiner stared at me. The examiner asked what class I got. I told him I could turn money into experience. He blinked twice and said, "So your combat ability is being unemployed." The entire room laughed. I laughed too because I had exactly 37 copper coins in my pocket. That was enough money for 1 cheap bowl of noodles. It was not enough money to become an immortal war god. My status screen was even worse. Level 1, Strength 5, Agility 4, Endurance 5, Intelligence 6, Luck 2. Luck 2 felt personal. I went home to the apartment I shared with my younger sister Mina and stared at the cracked ceiling for an hour. Hunters usually got stronger by killing monsters. They bought armor, potions, weapons, skill books, enchanted boots, magic rings, and enough glowing nonsense to look like a jewelry store during an earthquake. I could skip all of that if I had money, which I did not. Mina came home, saw my face, and asked if I awakened as something bad. I told her I had the strongest class in the world. She got excited. Then I told her I needed to be rich first. She handed me 3 silver coins from her emergency snack jar and said, "Then start with this." I almost cried, not because of the emotional support, because the moment I held the coins, my skill activated. Convert 3 silver coins. I hit yes. The coins vanished. 30 experience points poured into me. My level jumped from 1 to 2. My entire body heated up, my muscles tightened, my senses sharpened, the headache I had been carrying all day disappeared. Mina dropped her school bag. I checked my status. Strength 8, Agility 7, Endurance 8, Intelligence 9. 3 silver coins had made me almost 50% stronger. I grabbed the last copper coins in my pocket and converted those too. Nothing happened. Apparently the system had standards. The next morning I registered for the cheapest beginner dungeon in the city. The receptionist looked at my level 2 badge and pointed me toward a slime tunnel that had a survival rate so high toddlers occasionally toured it for school trips. I entered wearing borrowed leather armor and carrying a kitchen knife. Yes, a kitchen knife. Not even a good one. The first slime bounced toward me. I stabbed it. The knife got stuck. The slime swallowed the knife. Then it swallowed my hand. I spent the next 30 seconds screaming while punching a blue gelatin ball with my free fist. Eventually it popped. I earned 2 experience points. Then a copper-colored slime core dropped onto the floor. I picked it up and froze. Monster materials had market value. My skill window appeared. Estimated liquidation value, 4 silver coins. Direct conversion available. I did not even leave the dungeon to sell it. I converted the slime core on the spot. 40 experience points, level 3. I stared at the puddle of slime, then I stared down the tunnel. Every slime in that dungeon suddenly looked like a walking wallet. I became a man possessed. I stopped fighting like a hunter and started fighting like an angry tax collector. Slime to the left, punch, core, convert. Slime to the right, kick, core, convert. A red slime tried to spit acid at me. I used another slime as a shield, beat them both together like 2 wet pillows, and converted both cores before they hit the ground. By lunchtime, I was level 7. By sunset, the guild staff came into the dungeon to find out why every slime had disappeared. They found me standing on top of the beginner boss, a giant king slime, repeatedly hitting it with a metal lunch tray I had stolen from the dungeon rest area. The king slime exploded. A large ruby core dropped. Estimated liquidation value, 6 gold coins. My hands started shaking. 6 gold coins, 600 experience points. I converted it. My level shot from 7 to 12. The pressure from my body blasted slime off the walls. The guild staff stared at me. I stared back. Then the dungeon announced that the king slime would not respawn for 24 hours because someone had defeated it too aggressively. That someone was me. I walked out of my first dungeon with no loot, no weapon, no armor upgrade, and absolutely no proof that I had killed anything. The receptionist checked my empty bag and smirked. Bad run, I smiled. Terrible? Then I accidentally crushed the metal registration pen while signing out. That was when I understood the first rule of my class: Normal hunters needed loot to buy power. I could turn loot directly into power before anyone else even knew it existed. The second rule was even better. My skill did not care where the money came from: dungeon loot, trading, business, gambling, debt repayment. Reward money: if something had recognized financial value and belonged to me, I could feed it to the system. I did not need to become the best hunter. I needed to become the most dangerous businessman alive. Unfortunately, I still had no starting capital, so I did what any future billionaire warlord would do. I got a part-time job. For 3 days, I worked at a monster butcher shop. It was disgusting. Hunters brought in corpses. I separated claws from glands, glands from organs, and organs from things I did not want to identify. But I learned something important. Everyone cared about rare materials. Almost nobody cared about the scraps. Goblin teeth, slime membranes, cracked cores, burned wolf pelts, bent horns. The shop threw away bags of low-grade monster junk every night. I asked the owner if I could take it. He laughed and told me I could take all of it if I cleaned the drain. I cleaned that drain like my life depended on it. Then I dragged 6 sacks of trash materials home. Mina opened the door. A goblin ear fell out. She closed the door again. I yelled that I could explain. She yelled that she did not want me to. I spent the whole night sorting materials. Most were nearly worthless. A cracked goblin tooth might sell for 2 copper, a burned fang might be worth 1. But my skill could convert recognized value. I touched the entire pile. Estimated liquidation value: 8 gold, 14 silver, 9 copper. My knees nearly gave out. That trash was worth more experience than my first dungeon run. I converted everything. The pile vanished. Level 15. A new skill appeared: Merchant's Appraisal. Anything I looked at now came with a floating estimated value, not just monster items. Everything: Mina's old desk, 12 silver, our refrigerator, 1 gold, 3 silver. The landlord's ugly statue downstairs, 7 gold, my neighbor's tiny dog, no transferable market value. The dog looked at me like it knew I had tried. I went back to the butcher shop the next day and asked for more trash. The owner told me another company had started buying scraps for alchemy research. My free money fountain was gone, so I used appraisal. I looked around his shop. Half his inventory was priced wrong. He had a box of black claws marked as common shadow wolf claws. My skill told me they were actually juvenile eclipse panther claws worth 40 times more. I asked how much for the whole box. He said 2 gold. I bought it. I had to borrow 1 gold from Mina. She made me sign a handwritten contract charging me 10% interest. My own sister became my first creditor. I took the claws to the hunter market and sold them for 68 gold. The buyer tried to hide his excitement. My appraisal told me the true market value was 90. I leaned forward and said 90. He nearly fell out of his chair. He asked how I knew. I told him the claws whispered to me. He paid 85 just to get me out of his shop. I gave Mina back 1 gold and 1 silver, then I held the remaining coins. My heartbeat became thunder. Convert 83 gold and 9 silver, yes. Experience slammed into me like a truck. Level 23, skill acquired, golden body. For every 1,000 gold permanently converted, physical defense increases. I had not even reached 1,000 yet, and the system was already showing me future rewards. I felt like someone had handed a starving wolf a restaurant menu. I stopped taking low-level dungeon requests. Instead, I spent the next 2 weeks flipping monster materials. I bought misidentified scales, damaged artifacts, cursed rings nobody wanted, and mystery boxes from drunk hunters who had no idea what they had found. Appraisal was absurd. A rusted sword from a goblin cave looked worthless. Appraisal told me there was an ancient enchantment under the rust. I bought it for 4 gold. I sold it for 300. A cracked blue stone was listed as decorative quartz. Appraisal told me it was a dragon mana kidney stone. I did not ask why dragons got kidney stones. I bought it for 9 gold. A noble collector paid 900. A suspicious old woman sold me a locked chest for 20 gold. Appraisal refused to identify the contents. That should have been a warning. I bought it anyway. Inside was a miniature mimic. It bit me. I punched it through a wall. Its core was worth 120 gold. Profit. Everything was profit. By the end of the month, I had converted more than 4,000 gold into experience. I reached level 38. Golden body activated 3 times. An iron spear could barely scratch my skin. Mina made me test it outside because I had already broken 2 chairs and 1 bathroom door by sitting down too hard. Then the first real problem arrived. A large guild called Red Banner noticed me. Red Banner controlled almost half the low-level material market in the district. Their guild master, Darius Vane, was an A-rank hunter with a fire giant class and the personality of a man who thought doorways should apologize when he walked through them. He sent 3 men to my tiny apartment. They offered to buy my appraisal technique. I told them it was not for sale. They offered more. I said no, then they offered to break my legs. That was technically a different business model. The tallest guy grabbed my shoulder. I looked at his equipment: sword, 42 gold, armor, 110 gold. Boots, 36 gold, necklace, 600 gold, confidence, severely overpriced. I let him punch me. His hand made a cracking sound. He screamed. I had forgotten golden body was active. The other 2 attacked. I dodged the first sword, grabbed the flat of the blade and snapped it with 2 fingers. The swordsman looked so heartbroken that I almost apologized. Then I realized the broken pieces still had value. I picked them up. Can I have this? He stared at me. I converted the sword. The metal vanished from my hand. The swordsman fainted. The third guy tried to run. I grabbed the back of his armor. My skill displayed a conversion prompt. Ownership requirement not met. Interesting. I could not convert stolen property. So I smiled and said, give me your armor and I'll let you leave. He removed it so fast he nearly dislocated both shoulders. The instant he said it was mine, I converted it. His face went pale. That was when a new and deeply irresponsible idea formed in my head. If people willingly transferred ownership to me, could I convert almost anything? The next day, Red Banner summoned me to their headquarters. I walked in wearing a cheap shirt and carrying no weapon. Darius sat on a throne made from monster bones because apparently normal chairs were beneath him. He demanded I join his guild. I said I was busy. He asked, doing what? I said, getting richer than you. The room became silent. Darius laughed. Then he ordered a B-rank enforcer named Cross to teach me humility. Cross activated a skill called Stone Titan. His body grew 3 meters tall and turned gray. He punched me through 2 walls. I flew into the guild cafeteria, bounced off a vending machine, and landed inside a tray of curry. I checked my health, still above 80%. Then I saw the vending machine. Appraisal value, 27 gold. A receptionist screamed that I had broken guild property. I stood up and shouted, how much for the machine? Everyone stopped. Darius said, what? I repeated the question. He thought I had brain damage. He told me I could have the broken vending machine if I survived the next punch. That was verbal transfer of ownership. Good enough. I touched the machine. Convert, yes. The entire vending machine disappeared. Cross stared at the empty floor. 27 gold became experience. It was not much, but the new level pushed me over a threshold. Skill acquired, compound interest. Every time I defeat an enemy stronger than me, the market value of their dropped rewards receives a temporary multiplier. I started smiling. Cross did not like that. He charged. I grabbed the cafeteria table and asked Darius, can I have this too? Darius yelled, take the whole cafeteria if you want. That was the greatest sentence anyone had ever spoken to me. My skill lit up. Ownership transfer recognized. I touched the table. Gone chairs, gone industrial refrigerator, gone expensive enchanted stove, gone cutlery. Gone the decorative chandelier, gone the emergency mana potion cabinet, gone. Cross tried to hit me while I was speedrunning the cafeteria's assets, but each conversion pushed more experience into my body. Level 39, level 40, level 41. The floor tiles were apparently imported. Gone. Darius stopped laughing. I ripped a wall-mounted television free and converted that to level 42. Cross threw another punch. I caught it. His giant stone fist stopped 1 inch from my face. For the first time, he looked nervous. I squeezed. Stone cracked all the way up his arm. Then I headbutted him. His stone titan form shattered like a statue thrown off a tower. He crashed through the serving counter and passed out inside a pile of bread. Compound interest activated. His dropped guild challenge token increased in value from 50 gold to 200. I converted it. Darius stood up. Fire exploded around him. The entire building shook. Every member of Red Banner backed away. Darius transformed into a blazing giant covered in magma armor. I looked at him. Level 72. I was level 42. Even with my stats, I could not win that fight cleanly. So I did not fight cleanly. I pointed at the walls. You said I could take the whole cafeteria. Darius frowned. I placed my hand on the floor. The system recognized everything inside the cafeteria that legally belonged to me. Then I converted all of it at once. The entire room vanished. Not broke, not exploded, vanished. For one glorious second, 40 Red Banner members, one unconscious stone giant Darius, and I were standing on nothing 3 floors above the street. Gravity handled the rest. Everyone fell. I gained 4 levels from the liquidation value. Darius crashed through a parked carriage. I landed on him. Not because I planned it, but I pretended I did. The crowd outside started cheering. Someone had recorded the whole thing. By nightfall, a video titled "Poor Guy Deletes Guild Cafeteria and Falls on a Rank Master" had millions of views. And then something incredible happened. People started sending me money. Some thought I was hilarious. Some wanted me to beat up Darius again. One rich merchant sent 100 gold with the message, "For another table." I converted every donation. My level climbed to 49. The city woke up the next morning to find that I had become famous for weaponized property liquidation. Red Banner hated me. The public loved me, and the Hunter Association was extremely concerned. They called me in for an emergency evaluation. The examiner was the same man who had laughed at my class a month earlier. He no longer laughed. He placed a mana measuring device on the table. I touched it. Appraisal value 3,000 gold. I asked if I could buy it. He said no. I sighed and used it normally. The machine exploded. He wrote down measurement inconclusive and moved me from E rank to C rank. I asked why only C rank. He said because a hunter's rank was based on verified combat performance, not the ability to make furniture disappear. Fair, so I registered for a C rank dungeon raid. The dungeon was called Iron Tomb. The monsters were armored skeletons with enchanted weapons. My raid team included 12 hunters. Most of them laughed when they saw I had no weapon. Their leader, a swordswoman named Rhea, asked if I had forgot my gear. I said no, I'm traveling light. Then the first skeleton attacked. I punched it in the chest. My fist went through the armor, through the skeleton, and into the wall behind it. Everyone stopped laughing. The skeleton dropped a rusted sword. I picked it up. Value 14 gold. Convert. A helmet. 9 gold. Convert. Boots. 7 gold. Convert. I was basically vacuuming the dungeon behind us. Rhea told me we were supposed to split loot after the raid. I apologized and started keeping the drops instead. That lasted 4 minutes. Then I noticed something strange. The dungeon's walls contained silver veins. Normal teams ignored them because mining during a raid was slow, dangerous, and annoying. My appraisal showed the entire tunnel network was loaded with raw metal worth tens of thousands of gold. I asked Rhea who legally owned dungeon minerals. She said the party that cleared the dungeon had salvage rights for 24 hours. My brain nearly left my body from excitement. We reached the boss room. An undead knight sat on a throne surrounded by mountains of weapons. The others saw a dangerous boss. I saw a warehouse. The knight stood. It drew a black greatsword and released an aura that made half the party stumble backward. Rhea shouted that it was stronger than expected. The system identified it as a level 61 Grave Commander. I was 51 by then. Perfect. Stronger than me meant compound interest. The Grave Commander swung. I ducked. The sword sliced through 6 stone pillars. I kicked its knee. The armor dented but did not break. It backhanded me across the room. I hit a treasure pile. Gold coins scattered around me. Actual gold coins, thousands of them. I stopped caring about the boss. The Grave Commander charged. I grabbed a fistful of coins. Convert. My level rose. Another handful. Convert. Another. Convert. The Grave Commander slowed down like it could not understand why I was eating its retirement fund. I converted faster. Coins vanished in waves. Level 52, 53, 54. The Grave Commander roared and raised its sword. I converted the golden throne beneath it. The throne vanished. The boss dropped half a meter and missed its swing. I punched its helmet. The helmet flew off. Inside was a blue ghost skull screaming curses at me. I grabbed the skull and slammed it into the treasure pile. Then I converted a silver statue, level 55. I punched again. The skull cracked. The boss exploded. Compound interest activated. Its black greatsword was worth 800 gold. Multiplier 4 times. Temporary liquidation value 3,200 gold. I almost kissed the sword. Convert. My level jumped to 58. Then the dungeon core appeared. It was a floating iron sphere the size of a carriage. Rhea said the association would pay 5,000 gold for it. I touched it. Estimated liquidation value 12,000. I asked the party if they wanted cash now instead of waiting for the association. They stared at me. I offered each member 400 gold from my savings for their share of the core. That was more than the official split they expected. Everyone agreed instantly. I paid them. Ownership transferred. Then I converted the core. 12,000 gold worth of experience flooded into me. The entire dungeon trembled. I hit level 67. Then the system displayed something new. Net worth milestone reached. Skill acquired. Hostile takeover. Once per day, when fighting inside a structure owned by an enemy organization, you may challenge ownership through force, defeat the recognized leader, and claim all unsecured assets within the territory. I read it 3 times, then I laughed so hard Ria asked if the dungeon had poisoned me. I said no, I had just discovered real estate combat. When we returned to the city, I sold the dungeon's mining rights to a smithing corporation for 30,000 gold. Then I converted most of the payment. Level 74, my rank rose to B. My name spread across the entire kingdom. People called me the Coin Crusher. I hated the name. Mina loved it and bought a shirt with my face on a gold coin. I bought the company that printed the shirt, not because I wanted it, because their accountant told me they were failing. I acquired the business for 1,200 gold, fixed their supply problem using appraisal, and turned it profitable in 1 week. That was when my class evolved. Gold Eater became Wealth Tyrant, new passive revenue stream. Experience generated from money earned through businesses I owned, received a bonus based on profitability. I stared at the description. Until now I had been thinking too small. Why hunt monsters myself when I could own the people who sold monster boots? Not literally own people, Mina made me add that clarification. I started buying businesses, a potion shop with terrible branding, a weapon repair stall, a monster restaurant where the chef kept setting customers on fire, a carriage company that had 12 carts and 13 lawsuits. I used appraisal to see what each business was wasting. The potion shop used rare moon grass and cheap stamina drinks. I changed the recipe, profit tripled. The repair stall threw away enchanted metal dust. I sold it to alchemists, profit increased. The monster restaurant's chef was not bad. His fire lizard steak was just served on flammable wooden plates. I bought stone plates. No more customers caught fire. Business exploded in popularity. Mostly, every profitable day generated bonus experience. I started leveling in my sleep. I would go to bed level 78 and wake up level 79 because someone bought 30 bowls of basilisk soup. This was ridiculous, so naturally I pushed it further. I founded a company. Golden Goose Holdings. Our logo was a goose wearing a crown. Mina designed it. She became chief financial officer because she was terrifying with spreadsheets. Ria joined as head of security after watching me accidentally buy a cursed warehouse. The warehouse turned out to be haunted by the ghost of an accountant. He refused to pass on because the previous owner had falsified quarterly reports. Mina gave him the corrected books. He cried, then he became our undead finance consultant. His name was Gilbert. This was now my life. Within 3 months, Golden Goose owned 32 small businesses, 2 warehouses, 1 mine, 4 food stalls, a potion brand, and a dungeon cleanup company. That last one was my favorite. Hunters left behind mountains of useless monster debris. We collected it for free. I converted it. Our competitors could not understand how a trash company had the highest profit margin in the city. Then Red Banner returned. Darius had recovered from being used as a landing pad. He had also become obsessed with destroying me. He convinced 3 major guilds to blacklist Golden Goose. Our suppliers stopped delivering. Merchants refused to buy our goods. Dungeon teams were threatened if they worked with us. In one morning, half my revenue vanished. Mina showed me the numbers. If nothing changed, we would be bankrupt in 6 weeks. I smiled. She asked why. I told her Darius had just made the biggest mistake of his life. He had turned business into a battlefield, and my class had a skill called hostile takeover. Red Banner's headquarters was a fortified tower in the center of the city. I walked there alone. Darius was waiting outside with hundreds of guild members. He had expected me. Good. He announced that I was finished. I announced that I was there to buy the guild. Everyone laughed. I offered 1 copper coin. They laughed harder. Darius transformed into his fire giant form and said he would bury me under the tower. My skill activated. Hostile takeover challenge available. Conditions. Recognized enemy territory, hostile organization leader present. I accepted. A golden boundary spread across the entire property. The guild members stopped laughing when every door and window lit up. Darius charged first. His fist was covered in white flame. The last time we fought, I had needed gravity to help me. Now I caught his fist with one hand. The street cracked under my feet. But I did not move. Darius looked at me. I looked at him. Then I asked, "Did you depreciate this building properly?" He screamed and threw another punch. I ducked and hit him in the stomach. The shockwave shattered every window on the first 3 floors. Darius flew backward through the front gate. 3 B-rank hunters attacked me from both sides. I grabbed one sword, redirected the second attacker into the third, and kicked all 3 through the lobby. An earth mage raised stone walls around me. I punched through them. An archer fired enchanted arrows. I used a Red Banner member as a shield. He yelled that I was insane. I told him his armor was doing great. Then I threw him at the archer. I climbed the tower one floor at a time. Every level was packed with hunters. I treated them like unpaid invoices. A poison assassin tried to stab my neck. Golden body stopped the blade. I flicked his forehead. He fell through a table. A summoner called a giant armored boar. I appraised the boar, breeding value 8,000 gold. I refused to hurt it. Instead, I bought it from the summoner mid-fight for 500 gold. The summoner agreed because he thought I was joking. Ownership transferred. The boar immediately stopped attacking me because its contract changed. I named him Mortgage. Mortgage became the first official battle mount of Golden Goose Holdings. We charged up the stairs together. By the time I reached the top floor, half the guild was unconscious and the other half was pretending they had never liked Darius. Darius stood in front of a giant red crystal. He had absorbed the tower's emergency mana reserves. His fire giant form doubled in size. Flames poured from his mouth. He punched the ceiling apart just by standing up. I checked his level, 93. I was 86, good enough. He attacked. The first hit sent me across the room. The second cracked my ribs. The third almost knocked me unconscious. I realized Darius had not spent the past 3 months doing nothing. He had been hunting, training, getting stronger the normal way. How old-fashioned. I rolled under another punch and slammed both palms against his chest. He barely moved. Then I noticed the red crystal behind him. Appraisal value, 180,000 gold. The guild's emergency mana reserve was also an asset, but I did not own it. Not yet. Darius grabbed me by the throat and lifted me into the air. He said money could not buy real strength. I almost agreed. Then hostile takeover showed a progress bar, territory control, 92%. I only needed to defeat the leader. So I smiled and asked Darius how much his pride was worth. He squeezed harder. I kicked him between the legs. Fire giant or not, some defenses remained tragically mortal. His grip loosened. I dropped. Mortgage burst through the top floor wall at full speed. Yes, the wall. He had taken the stairs until he got bored. The giant boar hit Darius like a runaway castle. Darius slammed into the red crystal. It cracked. Mana exploded through the room. I grabbed Darius by the ankle, spun him once, and threw him into his own throne. The throne broke. He tried to stand. I walked over and flicked him in the forehead. This time he stayed down. Hostile takeover complete. Ownership transfer recognized. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then every unsecured asset in Red Banner Tower displayed a gold outline. Furniture, weapons, potion stock, training equipment, vault contents, decorations, the emergency mana crystal. Even Darius's ridiculous bone throne. I whispered, liquidate. The tower screamed. Not the people, the building. Every movable asset vanished in waves of golden light. The guild vault emptied, the armory emptied, the potion storage vanished. Beds, tables, statues, carpets, chandeliers, practice dummies, even a decorative fountain shaped like Darius disappeared. Experience hit me like a meteor. My level jumped, 87, 90, 94, 98, 100. The world froze, a huge system message appeared, level 100 reached, class evolution available. Wealth Tyrant may evolve into one of 3 paths, Golden Emperor, Dungeon Magnate. Apostle of Commerce. I chose Golden Emperor before reading the descriptions. Why? Because it sounded expensive. A golden shockwave exploded from my body and tore the remaining roof off the tower. My class evolved. Golden Emperor, new skill, royal purchase. Once per week, you may attempt to buy something that is normally not considered a tradable asset, provided you can offer sufficient recognized value and the target accepts. I read that sentence slowly, something not normally tradable. My common sense tried to warn me. I had stopped listening to my common sense around level 40. The Hunter Association arrived to arrest everyone. They found Red Banner's entire headquarters stripped almost empty, Darius unconscious, me sitting on mortgage, and a ghost accountant checking inventory. Technically, I had not stolen anything. The system had recognized the territory transfer. Legally, things were more complicated, very complicated, painfully complicated. Mina solved it by purchasing Red Banner's debt from 3 banks and using the defeated guild's existing contracts to force a restructuring. By sunset, Golden Goose Holdings legally controlled the building. I loved my sister. I feared my sister. The association promoted me to A rank, because apparently defeating an A rank guildmaster while liquidating his furniture counted as verified combat performance. News spread beyond the city, then beyond the kingdom. Requests flooded in. Merchants wanted investment, guilds wanted partnerships, nobles wanted me at parties. One duke offered me his daughter's hand in marriage. Appraisal showed the marriage alliance would come with an estate worth 6 million gold. I stared at the offer for a long time. Mina slapped the paper out of my hand. She said I was not allowed to marry for experience. I said I was only evaluating options. She said she would resign. I declined the marriage. Some things were more valuable than gold. Not many things, but some. Then came the auction of kings. Once every 10 years, the richest people on the continent gathered in the imperial capital to bid on relics dragged out of forbidden dungeons. I received an invitation because my net worth had officially become stupid. The invitation was made of enchanted platinum. I converted it. Then I had to ask them to send another one. At the auction, I sat between a vampire countess and a merchant prince whose hat had its own bodyguard. Mina held our bidding paddle because everyone agreed I could not be trusted around rare objects. The first items were ridiculous. A sword that could cut magic. A mirror that showed one possible future. A phoenix egg. A castle with legs. I wanted all of them. Mina bought none of them. Then the auctioneer revealed the final item, a black coin. Small, ugly, completely plain. The room looked disappointed. My appraisal went blind. No value, no origin, no material, only one line appeared. Currency recognized by an unknown system. I nearly jumped out of my chair. Another currency meant another market. The bidding started at 10,000 gold. I raised the paddle. Mina lowered it. I raised my hand instead. A man in white robes across the hall bid 1 million. Every S-rank hunter in the room went quiet when they saw him. I tried appraisal, nothing. That was enough reason for me to keep bidding. The price hit 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. Mina whispered that I was spending the annual budget of a small country on one ugly coin. I told her the coin was mysterious. She said that was not accounting. I sold 5% of Golden Goose to the vampire countess during the auction break, borrowed against one of our mines, and returned with enough money to make every accountant in the empire develop chest pain. The white-robed man bid 30 million. I bid 31. He looked at me for a long time. Then he stopped. I won the black coin. The instant it touched my palm, it dissolved into my skin. A second status window appeared behind my normal one. Foreign currency detected. Exchange system partially unlocked. Balance 1 void mark. I had spent 31 million gold for one coin. Mina did not speak to me for 6 hours. Then a new quest appeared. Acquire full ownership of a dungeon. Not clear one, own one. I bought the cheapest permanent gate I could find. It was an abandoned beginner dungeon called the Hollow Pantry, famous for weak mushroom monsters, damp walls, and a goblin boss who had apparently been killed so many times he no longer stood up when hunters entered. I paid 200,000 gold for the land and legal gate rights. Then I went inside, touched the dungeon core, and used royal purchase. The core grew a mouth. It demanded 1 million gold for metaphysical ownership. I offered 50,000. It called me a parasite. I offered 70. It threatened to spawn rats in my apartment. We negotiated for 40 minutes. I bought the dungeon itself for 160,000 gold and a promise to install better lighting. The moment the deal completed, the entire dungeon bowed, the floor tilted. Mina slid into a wall. Screamed at the architecture. My system exploded with new information. Own dungeon recognized as productive asset. Monster respawns counted as generated inventory. Dungeon loot counted as business revenue. I stared at the core. Then I realized I had purchased a self-refilling money machine. The next month became insanity. I fed mana crystals into the dungeon so stronger monsters would spawn. I hired the goblins instead of killing them. They unionized on day 3. Mina negotiated their wages. They started growing magical mushrooms and selling them to potion companies. We opened a gift shop at the entrance. Mortgage became the mascot. Someone made plushies of him. The plushies earned more money than the dungeon. I hated economics. I loved experience. Revenue stream kept turning business profits into bonus progression. I reached level 150 without personally killing a monster for almost 2 weeks. Then I bought another dungeon, then another. One produced ice spirits, so we built a cold storage company. One contained lava monsters, so we rented the heat to blacksmiths. A haunted dungeon became a theater because the ghosts were excellent actors. Our most dangerous gate spawned giant carnivorous chickens. We turned it into a fried chicken brand. That caused 6 lawsuits, 1 cult, and the best quarterly revenue in Golden Goose history. By the time the Hunter Association promoted me to S-rank, people were calling me the Golden Calamity. That was much better than Coin Crusher. I thought I had finally broken the world. Then the world sent someone to collect. Every dungeon on the continent stopped producing loot at the exact same time. Monster cores vanished. Crystal drops vanished. Treasure rooms became empty. Golden Goose lost more money in one morning than I had earned in my first year. Then the hollow pantry turned black. Its blue gate became a dark circle. I rushed inside with Mina, Rhea, Gilbert, and Mortgage. The goblins were hiding. The core had a crack running through it. I touched it. My black coin reacted. The foreign interface opened. This time I could read more. Debt cycle initiated. Collateral assessment in progress. I stared at the words. What debt? The dungeon answered by screaming. A black armored hand pushed out of the core. A tall humanoid creature crawled into the room. Its face was hidden behind a white mask. Golden rings covered every finger. Black chains floated behind its back like living snakes. Appraisal finally gave me something. Collector unit, affiliation, outer exchange. Purpose, asset seizure. The collector pointed at my mushroom farms. A message appeared. Hollow pantry assessed as delinquent collateral. Repossession authorized. I shouted, that belongs to me. The collector snapped its fingers. Half the farm disappeared, not exploded. Not destroyed, liquidated. Someone had just used my own trick against me. I became furious. Then the collector pointed at mortgage, asset valuation in progress. I punched it in the face before the screen finished. My fist cracked the mask. The collector slowly turned back toward me. I suddenly had the feeling I had just punched a bank employee from another universe. Black chains shot from its hands, one wrapped around my arm. My golden body weakened instantly. The collector threw me through 3 rooms. I landed in the goblin cafeteria with a tray stuck to my head. One goblin shouted, "Boss, I think your credit score is terrible." I told him this was not the time. The collector walked through the wall. His chains touched everything: tables, walls, storage crates, the dungeon core. Dark outlines spread across my property. I activated Sovereign Market. Golden light exploded from me. My ownership authority collided with its repossession authority. The entire dungeon shook between us. Then a number appeared in the foreign interface. Outstanding planetary balance, 8,400,000,000,000 value units. I stopped fighting for a second. 8.4 trillion. The collector pointed at the dungeon. Partial payment accepted. That was when I understood. The dungeon system itself was tied to some kind of cosmic debt, monster loot, awakenings, mana. Maybe all of it. Humanity had been getting stronger using power someone else considered a loan. And now the loan was due. The collector attacked again. I grabbed one of its black chains. Price of all things activated. Concept repossession authority. Temporary transferable fragment. Value 600 million gold. My eyes widened. Its authority had value. I activated buyout. Purchase denied. Target consent required. Of course, the cosmic debt collector did not want to sell me its weapon. So I tried the next most dangerous thing I knew. I shouted, I challenged the valuation. The collector froze. The chains stopped moving. Gilbert floated out from behind a broken counter. He adjusted his glasses. Even dead, he somehow looked offended on behalf of accounting everywhere. He asked, on what grounds? I said, improper notice. Gilbert's ghostly eyes lit up. For the next 5 minutes, my undead accountant argued contract procedure with a masked interdimensional collector. I understood nothing. Mina understood some of it. The goblins understood none of it. Mortgage ate a chair, then the collector lowered its chains. A new message appeared. Repossession paused pending audit. Audit deadline, 7 days. Audit representative requested. Account holder Potter. My stomach dropped. The collector opened a black portal. Before leaving, it turned toward me. The crack in its mask widened like a smile, then it vanished. The dungeon stopped shaking. Mina walked over and read the debt number. She sat down. Then she immediately stood because Mortgage had eaten the chair. Asked the obvious question. How do we pay 8.4 trillion of something we don't even understand? I looked at the 1 void mark in my foreign balance. Then the interface changed. A marketplace opened. Listings flashed past. 1 bottled sunrise, 3 extinct languages. A defeated god's final apology. 10,000 years of bad luck. A map to a city that had not been built yet. The left shoe of an immortal emperor. Then I saw the button at the bottom. Create listing. I slowly smiled. Mina saw my face and said no. I had not even spoken. She pointed at me. Whatever idea just entered your head, no. I listed 1 signed mortgage plushie. Starting price, 1 void mark. The listing sold instantly. Final price, 22 void marks. Everyone stared at Mortgage. Mortgage stared back while chewing table wood. I listed a copy of Gilbert's perfect invoice memory. 300 void marks. I listed naming rights to our next dungeon branch. 1,000. I listed a private dragon roar from Veridrax. 80,000. Veridrax had not agreed to that one yet. I told Mina to call him. The impossible debt still hung over the world. Collectors were waiting beyond the gates. We had 7 days before they came back, but now I finally understood the battlefield. Everyone else saw a cosmic market powerful enough to repossess planets. I saw customers. And for the first time since I awakened with 37 copper coins in my pocket, I had found a market big enough to make me feel poor again. I smiled, because getting poor was just the first step to getting rich.